Good evening, everybody. It's Lisa here with Rona for Quilt Babble Live, April 2024. Woo, 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 woo. So, real quick, while everybody is sharing this to their social media channels, getting the thumbs up that we're all good and moving, tonight we have a special guest from the UK, and it is Miss Tracy Perks with Rope and Anchor Trading Company. Am I right, Tracy?
You're right, Lisa. Yes.
That's a big long one. I'm just saying. I don't I stumble. I stumble. So
And do you know what? I stumble on how I spell serendipitous, and I have to look it up every single time.
oh come on, that's so easy. I'm just kidding. I tell everybody it's so and then dip it and then OUS. You got it. SewEndipitous. It just sounds complicated, but I struggled over it in the beginning too. And of course, spell check is always trying to correct it, and that's no fun. But tonight, guys, we are going to be talking all things Tracy Perks, of course. But since she's in the UK, Rona and I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of the difference in quilting or quilting terms in the USA versus the UK. Since we've got an expert from the UK, why not, right, Rona?
Of course. Wait, is that me or
Sure about
Tracy? No,
expert.
I'm just kidding.
Rona thinks she lives in the UK or Spain or Scotland. She really doesn't know. That's the problem with Rona. What time zone is she in? And
Yes, that's what
definitely
I have to look up.
exactly. I don't know how you do it. Tracy, start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, exactly where in the UK you are, and a little bit about your company.
Okay, so I've been quilting for about 11 years. I live on a narrowboat. Rona made a wonderful video of me. It's on a YouTube channel, and she came to visit me last year. When I sent her this random message, come and visit me. I'm on a boat somewhere.
Rona's like,
Um,
I'm getting a message from a stranger. They could be a murderer in a foreign country, but yeah, I'll go visit. They say they're on a boat. Rona,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to question your decision making. Oh my gosh. We will
what's led us to this point?
yeah, the video that Tracy's talking about, we'll make sure gets plopped in the comments as well so you guys can watch that because Rona did an amazing job. The interview with Tracy was amazing. Okay, continue on, Tracy. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm on a narrowboat, and we've been on board for about 15 years. And then a couple of years ago, might be 2.5 years ago, we bought the little boat, which is what I'm sat in now. This is my little floating studio. So it's all powered by solar panels. Um, and I've been writing patterns for the last 4 years properly, and really accelerated my business in the last couple of years. And the name Rope and Anchor Trading Co. I wanted something that reflected macrame and living on a boat. Not macrame. I do macrame though, or as you guys call it, macrame.
macrame. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we had
Yeah,
that distinction in our interview too. The
yeah.
macrame. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was getting ready to say, when you said that, I was thinking they are going to have no clue what she's talking about. So I'm glad that you cleared that up real quick. And it was really funny with that being said, guys, as you're watching this, if there is something that you might need a translation, definitely put it in the comments, and I'm sure Tracy will clear that up. But one of the first times I was on video chat with Tracy, Steve was in the room with me, but he could not see my screen where I was talking to Tracy. And she was saying applique. Go ahead and say it your way, Tracy.
Applique.
You don't say applique. Don't you go?
Applique.
Yeah.
Applique.
I can't say it now.
Applique. Yeah,
Applique.
the long. Yeah,
She keeps saying it, and Steve kind of looks at me, and I could see the look on his face. I knew he was not picking it up because he's new in this world, obviously, as well. And he was just like, is that? What technique is that? And finally, I reset applique, and Steve's like, oh.
huh?
Yes, yeah, I know. Yes, because I was talking about applique quite a lot, and It's hanging out with you guys. I'm picking up on your Americanisms.
Okay. The other day I said I was having a little bit of a wobble.
Good.
Yeah, that's more of a British slang than American, definitely.
Tracy said that one day, or it was in her email, something about having a wobble. And I was like, when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, Tracy's rubbing off on me. I love it. It's funny.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
Tracy, sorry we interrupted. Guys, you can see how this is going to go tonight when me and Rona and Tracy is together. It's very
Yes.
random. Tracy, tell everybody the website or social media channels. How can people check you out online?
Oh, I'm all over the place now. My website, I love my website. It's nice and clean, and my niece helped me build it. Well, she built it, and I do it now. So that is www.ropeandanchortradingco.com.
Awesome.
So that's the website. I've just started writing more regular blogs. So that's quite good. And I send out a weekly newsletter. So please subscribe to that if you like the sound of it. Then Instagram, oh, that's a complicated one. It's at rope_anchor_trading_co.
MIC, crooked letter I. That's what that's.
And Facebook's the same. I've got a Facebook group called Made on the Cut, because for those of you that don't know, the cut in the British waterways is the canal. So the canal was cut through the countryside 250 years ago, and it's still called the cut. So I decided to name my Facebook group Made on the Cut, and my YouTube channel, that's all new. I've been really working on that, and that's at Rope and Anchor Trading Co.
I gotta say, for your YouTube channel, I love that you started doing the weekly roundups, like every Sunday. And and then as soon as I saw I think the first or second one, I was like, oh my God, why am I not doing that? But that's such a good idea. I love that you're doing that. Yeah, that you're doing good with the building the YouTube. Some fun stuff.
Thank you. I
Absolutely.
just thought, too many times we look back, don't we, on the week and go, oh, I haven't achieved anything. And I've followed people that do vlogs and stuff, and I don't want to do a long 15-minute vlog. I just wanted to do a quick roundup. So I try and keep it within 60 seconds, so it's a short as well, and then I can post it onto Instagram. So I've just done week 3, and I quite like it. It's just a nice end to the week.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And Rona,
Yeah.
it's all good to steal ideas. When you copy someone, it's a form of flattery. So I'm sure Tracy will not mind if you start doing that. The only problem is I don't know if you could put your roundup in 60 seconds or less.
I don't think so. That was my thought too. Like, I don't think I could get it under 60 seconds. That might be hard.
Yeah, but still do it. It's just great. I think it's going to be great to look back over the year and just reflect on
Yes.
what we've actually done.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So, Tracy, you had mentioned that you are a pattern designer. So, for those of you that are just now being introduced to you, because we do have viewers all over the place, not just in the USA, which is really cool. And we contribute that to Rona. Her reach is far and wide, as you guys know, because she's the traveling quilter. But here in the USA, you really are starting to pick up momentum and that type of stuff. If there is a quilter out there that would be interested in your pattern, or a quilt shop, how would you label currently the quilts that you have out on the market? Are they, English paper piecing? Are they foundation paper piecing? What type of patterns do you do? And we lost her.
Did we lose her? Oh no.
She's here, but it looks like her camera went kaput. So I know you know the answer then, Rona. Answer this for Tracy. What type of patterns does she have out?
Well, so Tracy's patterns are actually really cool. They're very beginner friendly, and she did that on purpose. She's got a very unique layout to her pattern. They're all squares, like 1 inch, 2 inch squares that you all put together in a grid, and it creates all these. She's back. it creates all these amazing different designs. She's got the
Sorry.
bumblebee, she's got the giraffe, she's got all kinds of fun stuff, and it's really, really easy to follow. And like I
Absolutely.
said, they're there, yeah. And oh, I forgot the gnome. I love the gnome. But yeah, her patterns, like I said, are very uniquely designed and written out. They're fantastic. For
Yes.
I mean, like brand new beginner, you can use
There's
these
the
patterns.
giraffe that Rona was talking about, everybody.
Yeah,
So I totally agree. And the other thing that Tracy and I have talked about in regards to her patterns, yes, they are very, very beginner friendly, but they're also great for the experienced quilter that wants to grab something that is quick and easy, that doesn't have a lot of crazy techniques in it. So they can whip up a quilt fairly quick. And some of these and I'm sure Tracy has them, and we'll talk about them in a little bit, like the fireside or campfire collection. Am I saying it right, Tracy?
Yeah,
She's
it's a
pointing.
campfire collection.
Campfire collection. So though I'm in South Carolina, she's gonna throw them up for you guys to see. I love these. Look at
and
that.
yeah,
So there's 3 of them, right, Tracy?
Yeah, I've only got 2 here with me, but the other one, the Glencoe, is bigger squares.
Yeah. Oh,
And this year I've decided to go bigger so people can pull things together pretty.
best. She's cutting in and out again.
yeah.
Those solar panels aren't cutting it today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um,
I can
but
say though that like the giraffe and the bumblebee and stuff, I always think of like those would be such great baby quilts. If you need
yes.
a fun, quick pattern, those are super fun.
Well, and also like the bee, the butterfly, some of those that you could alter colors in, I think they would be good scrap busters.
Oh yeah, definitely. The butterfly, yeah.
Don't you think
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Tracy?
Definitely. And when you get sorry, my signal kept dropping out. It's really windy here this evening. So when you get loads of whites and creams, and then you end up with a stash of whites, and you don't use the same white because you're not sure that that white's gonna match
Right.
the rest of the whites. They're great if you want to use up all of those for the backgrounds for them. They're just great to use up those bits that are left over.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
a really good idea. Yeah. And
I love
mixing and
it.
matching make them look good together. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then of course Tracy has some wall hanging patterns, but the concept is amazing. Tracy, I will say another thing when Rona was the first one to introduce me to your patterns, and I was so impressed with the quality of patterns because it wasn't your, flimsy paper, really nice feel. So I'm yes, I'm a paper girl, not a digital girl. Like I don't like the PDF. If I get a PDF, I'm printing it out anyway. But I love the feel of these because when I'm making something, I am constantly flip-flopping in that pattern. So kudos to you for that. I love that you have a place for the fabric samples to go and then the checkoff list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in the booklet pattern, I needed a couple of extra pages because the PDFs are about 6 pages. And I wanted a pull your own section. So you can, before you even start pulling your fabric, and get your crayons out or your felt tips and start colouring in. And also this fabrics and notions page,
Love
because
it.
that was for me really, because there's times when I've gone back through my notebook and gone, what was the name of that solid fabric or the blender, and where did I get it from? So and so there's a little section underneath. You just stick it in with your glue, and then just right underneath,
Yep. I love
where
it.
it was.
I create a
Yeah.
swatch sheet for everything I'm doing, but when Rona showed me one of yours and it was literally in the pattern, a place for it to happen, I was like, fabulous. I'm loving this lady. And then, if I remember correctly, don't you have check marks like after you've cut or you've sewn something you can click?
Yeah. So each part of my pattern, because I wanted it to be for people that are really visual. In fact, had a lovely comment on my YouTube the other day saying, um, I think it's on my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for writing patterns for visual learners, because there's not too many words in them. And I'm not very good with lots of words. I want to just be able to just tick something off or color coordinated. But if you look at it's show on the screen, but so this is the fabric requirements that you need.
Yes.
Once you've got them, you just tick them off, and it's the same with each row. So once you've cut out, you tick off. But at the end of each row, let me go this way. You can just tick off which one you've made, because let's face it, who makes a quilt in a day? You don't cut everything out in one go, do you? Or construct it all in one. Lisa does.
The stripology ruler, cut, done, never have to think of cutting again.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, another term that some people might know, but ticking off means to check off here in the USA. So with that being said, let's talk about some different terms. Something that I've struggled with, and not just UK pattern designers, but Australia and different. There's always a different term, it seems like, for batting. Here in the US, we say batting.
Yeah.
Tracy?
So yeah, it's wadding. We call it wadding, and that's one of the things I put in my, on the back page, right down where you've got your wadding from. Really, I should change that to batting. But do you know what? I'm a British designer, and wadding's a difference. But I go to on a Monday morning, I go to a co-working session, and it's a lady called Sonia that runs it. It's called Craft a Business, and you set your intentions at the start of the session, and they were going, well, what's your intention? I was like, I need to get ready for Quilt Babble. And Joe Westfoot's in it from the Crafty Nomad, who you've interviewed before.
Yep, she's been on us.
And and you've met Sonia as well, Rona.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Festival of Quilts, when everybody went out for dinner.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember. Yeah.
Yes. And so I said, we're going to be talking about the differences. And then they ended up just throwing ideas at me for the differences between the UK, and I wrote a list. I wrote them down.
Start giving us some. So what was some of the things they came up with?
Well, one of the things I noticed a few weeks ago was the yards to meters.
Yes.
And we use the term quarter of an inch everywhere, or an eighth of an inch, so my pattern's written with yards and meters in, because I wanted them to be accessible to the US Canadian market. But I went to the local high school the other week to make a community quilt, and some of these youngsters, they were all girls in the group, and I was just like, right, you need to keep your eye on your seam allowance, and we're going to do a quarter of an inch seam. And they looked at me as if I was gone out. I was like, I think it's gone out a British term, maybe. Yeah,
we know what you mean.
Basically,
like I was gone out.
Basically, they looked at you like you had two heads, or you'd gone crazy. That's yeah.
And I had to, I got the teacher actually can you just work out what quarter of an inch is in mil, please? But so yeah, that's one of the differences. I think, you guys over there, the quilting industry is a lot bigger. I mean, it's big over here and it's very popular. But I think the shops, you've got a lot more shops than we have. We've had quite a lot of shops closed down over the last couple of years, or perhaps a little bit longer, especially since lockdown. But the shops stock more patterns in the States, we find.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. One real quick thing though about the yards to meters. I had to learn that when I worked at Joann years ago, because we'd have some people that would come in and they'd want to get meters versus yards. And so basically it's roughly 1 meter is basically a yard and 3 inches ish.
A yard and three
Yeah.
inches, you said?
Yeah, it's about a yard and 3 inches ish. It's like three and change,
Ish. I
for
like
is
the
1 meter.
ish.
Yeah,
So if it says 1 meter, guys, just buy a yard and a quarter and call it
I
good.
would. Yeah, I would. Yeah. Just
But
remember, a meter is more.
yeah,
Yeah.
but Tracy, you had said earlier about potentially maybe changing the word wadding. I wouldn't change. Keep those UK terms because there is pattern designers all over, and their patterns do make their way to the US, and it's good learning, first of all. And we can have Google now. So if somebody doesn't know something, you can easily Google it. It's not like we are in
Yeah.
1970 and
Right.
you could ask 50 people, what is it? What wadding? Like to us, that would probably mean trash or something. I don't know. But now we can Google it. So we know. So keep those terms, yeah, keep it real. Like I love it for sure.
Mhm.
Tracy, so I know you came to Houston at Quilt Market this last fall. So you had quite a bit of exposure to some USA fabric, even though I know you do have some over there, because I think you told me you have Moda in the UK and that kind of stuff. But what I have found when I'm looking at fabric that is designed by someone in the UK, they have a tendency to be very directional in their fabric designs versus here in the UK, I mean in the US. I see now I don't know what country I'm in. In the US, even though they may be a correctional print in a collection of 20 or 30 prints, um, the USA, we get real cranky about fabric if it's directional. And I find the UK doesn't get that bent. Do you notice that?
I've never noticed that, but I work a lot with solids and blenders anyway
Okay.
for my designs.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, saying that, yeah, I think you're right because I bought some Moda the other day, and it's got the figures all over the place
Yeah.
in different directions, so it wouldn't have mattered which way I cut it.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Lewis and Irene, you guys hear me talk about this on Babel all the time because the head of the USA division is literally local to me. And sometimes when I'm looking at the new collections coming out, I'm in love with the collection, but when half the collection is directional, I'm like, because what's a nice word, Rona, to say for our USA quilters? We are, let me do it this way. When I was growing up, my grandmothers made a quilt out of utility, usually. And the
Mhm.
fabric in it could be any type of fabric. It could be from someone's clothes, it could be yard goods they bought or whatever. But
Exactly.
yes, the quilts for the most part was made out of utility or they were using up scraps. Once in a while,
Mhm.
there would be a quilt made, like I'll use for example, because I love Sunbonnet Sue, where the sashing was all the same, but of course, each little dress on Sunbonnet Sue was a different fabric. That was a little more plot and planned, but for the most part, back in the day, quilts were very utility. Now I feel like I tell people there's quilts made for utility. And then there's the posh glam quilts. That's what I call them, because you're using a collection that's been designed, the colors have all been designed to
Yeah.
work. And then we pick up a pattern and it takes us, I sort of say a day. Sometimes it takes us months to figure out the perfect fabric for that pattern. So I do call our quilts today in the US glam quilts. So to have something where Santa Claus might be upside down here, but he's upright here because that's the way the fabric cuts. Us in the US get kind of crazy about that. Do
I,
we not?
well, I think some people do, but I don't know. I'd say, I don't know. Definitely not everybody because the fabric sells. People buy it.
Oh, it does sell, but it depends what they're making it for. Oh, yeah, you've got
That's
some
true.
quilters. This is true. They'll be like, I don't care. I'm going to cut it up. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. But you have others that, I mean,
that's true.
I'm omitting word brats, Tracy, in the US. That's really what I'm trying to omit without using the word brats. But I'm finding the more I talk to UK, they really are more go with the flow when it comes to it.
Well, I think you've got more pre-cuts, haven't you, than we have. So
Probably.
you know, whereas we're, if we go to a shop, they'll cut really whatever you want. I mean, they may even go down to, you know, uh further to inches if you wanted.
Wow.
But yeah, so but there aren't lots of charm packs, layer cakes, molded jelly rolls. You get all of those, but I think we're more going to a shop and go, oh, I'll have a quarter of a meter of that, and I'll have a 2 meters of that, and I think there's a lot of designers in the States as well that will design with those pre-cuts in mind, won't they?
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did notice that when I was out there that it was mostly yardage or by the bolt versus
yeah,
the pre-cuts. Yeah.
Tracy, it's funny you mentioned that. As much as I do think about that, I didn't think about that till you said it, because we do talk about the designers, and we'll use motive for example, since you're using the word, charm pack, layer cake, and that kind of stuff for jelly rolls. So when I'm looking at the the fabric that is up in front of me for that quarter or run, whatever you want to use, because we do order 6 to 9 months in advance. When I like, okay, I love this collection, I want to get this collection, and then when I start thinking about the pre-cuts, the first thing I do is I start thinking, okay, does this collection allow for a 2.5 inch strip or a 2.5 inch mini charm? And if the majority of the focus fabric, if you will, is, larger scale, then I will probably skip the 2.5 inch squares or the 2.5 inch strips and maybe move over, to the charms or the 10 inch thing. So you are correct in when you are designing. I'm sure that is a factor, UK versus USA, if it's going to be pre-cut or not, and what's going to look good in that space.
Yeah.
yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. When I went to the other day, there was only a few. There were middle ones, but there was only a few pre-cuts there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a couple of the UK companies that I know, I think you're right. I don't think pre-cuts is an option to buy when we buy the fabric. Now, do you guys do fat quarters over there? Like,
Yeah, you get some really lovely fat quarter bundles, especially if there's a new collection coming out. So, sort of cave facet or but shops normally pull those together and
right.
they'll create that bundle.
Yeah, absolutely. What other USA, UK differences was your collaborative friends discussing this morning?
Um, we were saying that we think there's more quilt clubs and groups in the States than there is over here.
Well, so about that, I'm going to say yes, but it's also mostly because of just size. The U.S. is so much bigger, but it is different in that the UK has the Quilters Guild of what is it? Is it of the United Kingdom or of England? It's
Yeah.
one big umbrella,
Yeah.
one big
Oh,
guild that has local chapters essentially. Where here in the States, all of the guilds are separate from each other.
independent.
They're unique entities. That was the one big difference that I noticed about the UK. Same thing with Ireland is the same. It's the Quilters Guild of Ireland,
Wow.
just one that has all of their individual chapters. So
Yeah,
Interesting.
so they've got the umbrella, and then they've got each different region that sits in those. Um, but there's also lots of other smaller groups. In fact, I did a trunk show last week at one over in Essex, but that was like about 2 hours away. But that was really good fun because it was on a Monday afternoon, and yeah, so that was good. But there aren't that many. In fact, where I am now in Milton Keynes, I've been looking for one and I can't find one.
yeah.
Um, so because it would be nice to go and sew with other people, once a month or something.
It
Right.
is always so much fun because you learn so much from other quilty men and women, like in just idle chit chat, things that you don't, even think about until someone else has it. And you're like, oh, I should be doing it that way. It would make it so much easier than the way I've been doing, because some of us are self-taught, and we're in our journey, a long way before we take a true quilting class. And so we just do it the best way that makes sense to us. But when somebody shines the light on, it's like score, right? Like that's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning, so Tracy, you have what you call free motion embroidery club. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I've got the Free Motion Embroidery Club, and that's a monthly membership. I wanted to do have like a membership that was a little bit different because people get scared of free motion embroidery, and even free motion quilting, but it's not. If you want free motion quilting, then Jo Westfoot is the person to go to. She's got the Quilt Hive, and she's just an amazing teacher. But I wanted to do something different, so started the Free Motion Embroidery Club in last November, and we have a monthly Zoom and designs that come out once a month. So this month is bird boxes. So transferring those onto we'll transfer those onto a light fabric, and then we'll stitch them out. And I've not made mine yet, but I thought I might do a nice little cushion cover and use some of the. Do you guys have the Inktense pencils over
Yes.
there?
Are those the ones that heat erase?
No, they're like a crayon, and you crayon it onto the fabric or whatever media you use, and then you get a little dabble of water. I'll get a little brush, and then you can move the ink around. It turns it into like a watercolor.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're made by Derwent, which are up in the Lake District, in the UK. So yeah, I'll add some colour to this, and with these Inktense pencils, and then you heat set it. So and then it stays in.
I will tell you when you first started doing the free motion embroidery club, I was like, what is it? I think she means free motion quilting. And then I watched one of your little video samples and I was like, okay, no, that's not quilting. That really for real is free motion embroidery. I had never heard of that before. Had you, Rona? Is that a thing here in the US? I'm like, I've never heard of it.
I have heard of it before meeting Tracy and seeing her designs, but I always thought of it as like thread painting and like fall into that category.
Yes,
but it's still not even thread painting exactly. Like it's it's even more.
See if I can find something.
Yeah, because thread painting, you're thinking about like you're literally filling in everything, right? With I always think of like pet portraits and things like that. But with Tracy's, with the free motion embroidery, instead of doing the hand stitching to make these embroidery like outlines and pictures, you're doing it with your sewing machine, which is really kind of cool.
It's cool, but I'm going to tell you, it looks way complicated. Look at that amazingness.
Yeah.
That is done, for those of you that have not seen one of her videos, that is done on the machine. That is not hand embroidery, and it is not machine embroidery. It is literally Tracy drawing with thread. It's crazy.
Yep.
I've not got my I've got like a pouch that I use. I can't find it. I'm in a bit of chaos, but my sister-in-law Donna, who is so clever, she made me this, and this is motion embroidery. So it's her design, and the T is for me, Tracy. And then there's some bunting there with she stitched on little pom-pom trim. But that all of this in the black is stitched. And she's used the Inktense pencils to colour them in.
I love it.
She's so clever.
It is so cute. So what got you into the free motion embroidery?
Do do you know what? I can't remember. I just wanted to create something different. And oh, I went on a workshop years and years ago with a lady called Laura Sparks down in the south of the country, and I made a, a lampshade of a pier, and it's got, you know, like the Ferris wheel on, and it's got the big top and the pier struts, and because I live on a boat, I don't have normal lighting, and everything's in the ceiling. So I gave it to my mum. So it's over at the caravan, and yeah, and I just really love the fact that you lower the feed dogs and you just get going. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. It's really difficult to unpick. Um, but yeah, so that was the first sort of thing into it, and then I just started practicing and experimenting a little bit more.
So we have a question from an audience member. I think you answered half of it with you saying drop the feed dogs, but that was their question. What's the setup on your machine? Is there a special foot, or are you using like an open toe? Like, yeah, they want to know how to set up their machine for this. Is it the same as free motion quilting?
Yeah, so you lower your feed dogs if you can do that on your machine. Most machines can now. And then you'll get a darning foot, open toe foot, is the one that I like to use. And then I put my fabric in a hoop. I put some stabilizer underneath it. So there's all different types of stabilizer, but normally stitch and tear that sits underneath it, and then I can tear that off afterwards. It stops the puckers because your stitches are so close together.
Yeah,
if you don't use a stabilizer, then it will just draw the fabric in. Or if I don't use a hoop, which is my preferred method, I use my quilting gloves. And use a decent thread as well. I like to use Orifil, but use a decent thread and make sure that the needle's the right size for that particular thread.
Do you use a heavier weight thread, or do you just use standard quilting thread?
Do both. I use 50 weight and 40 weight Orifil. And if I want something that's really quite heavy, I'll use 28 weight.
Yeah, good question. So you do this by Zooms, and you said membership, so they can find out more about this if they want to on your website, correct? Or your social media channels?
Yeah, it's all on my website, and in fact, I'm going to start doing some more little tutorials to tell people about it. So that's my next thing. But I have been recording. I got this idea off of Rona, actually. So talking about when we go back to the beginning of the session, is to create a series. So I've started creating a series for my new pattern that was out, or 3 new patterns that were out last week.
You have been a busy girl. There's a question from the audience. You talk about filming, and you were talking about your studio on the boat. So the question is, how do you do camera setup to show all of that in such a little space?
Right. Well, Rona showed this in the video that she made, but above me, I have these a bar here, and there's one in front as well. And I have these I call them a swan neck, so you can put your phone in there and then have that over your work. And I've got one over where I am now, which is where I put my cutting mat, and then my sewing machine is just here. So that one sits over there, and then I've got lighting rigged up, not very well. So but lighting rigged up either side to try and get some better lighting in here.
So yeah, Nancy McNally was the one asking that question about your cameras and stuff. And I said, I'm almost positive she's got one from the ceiling. Because you know, it is hard to get certain angles. So yeah, that's awesome that you have that ability in the boat.
Yeah, when we were filming,
thanks, Nancy,
when we were filming our little interview in there, it was quite interesting. I had my tripod and everything, and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. Because there's
Yeah,
literally just
because
enough space for one person to walk through.
yeah, it was getting a bit cozy, wasn't it, Rona? If
It
there's more
was.
than one person in here.
Yeah,
And do you know what? It was the hottest day of the year. So
it
I'm
was.
melting and Rona's used to it. And I can't believe
I wouldn't
she's
no,
showing me my face.
I wouldn't say I was used to it. I had my little napkin in my hand and I was constantly, you know.
Well, I have watched that video probably, oh my gosh, 5 or 6 times. And let me just say, I loved every minute of it. Neither one of you looked like you were on a meltdown mode. The only thing I will critique is I wished it was longer. I just literally, I watch pretty much every video Rona, puts out for many different reasons. But Tracy, I will say, prior to meeting you in person at Houston, just hearing Rona's story of you was amazing. But to watch that video, you're very infectious. Oh my gosh, just absolutely probably one of the best videos that Rona has ever done was the interview with you for sure.
It was super fun.
It was an amazing day.
It's amazing for sure.
Yeah, Rona was only supposed to come over for a couple of hours and I kept her the whole day. It's like, you can't go. Please, there's somebody here that I can talk quilting to the whole day. And we just sat out in the deck chairs, didn't we, under the trees and
Hmm.
watched
In
the
the
boats get
shade.
by in the shade, yeah. And it was just the perfect day. It was the best day that I'd had in a long time, I've got to say. It was really good.
Uh,
It really was. And we got that perfect shot when one of the boats came just, slowly float by, and I was able to get that perfect shot. And you can really see what the boats used to look like when they were working boats, way back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't think they don't use them as working boats anymore, right? They're mostly just like people live on them.
Yeah, that one that went by in the video, that was yeah, that wasn't a working boat. But we have the coal boats. They look like that. They're all working. So yeah, they come and they deliver our coal and our diesel and our gas bottles for us.
love it.
They
So,
they give a good service.
that works. So obviously through Rona is how I met Tracy. And right before Houston last year, this person was on my Facebook on SewEndipitous and commenting here and commenting there. And it's like, oh, I hope to meet you in Houston. I'm like, who is this? And then I was like, oh, it's Tracy. Because I hadn't connected the social media to all the Rona stories. And so I was so super excited. And for any of you that have not been to Houston Quilt Market or Quilt Festival, it is a huge place with a lot of people. So the chances of two strangers running into each other would be very hard to do, to search out each other. And especially because any pictures of me online is back when probably 15 years ago and 100 pounds ago. So to match me to a picture would be hard, but oh my gosh, within literally the first hour or two, Tracy and she was coming off the escalator and here I was walking up and it was just like perfect because we literally within the first hour or two of market, we ran into each other. But Tracy, was that your first time coming over to the US and coming to a quilt market such as that?
I've been to the States quite a lot. We got married in Vegas actually, a
Of
long
course
time
you
ago,
did.
24 years ago. We had a dead Elvis wedding. And
Of course you did.
so we not particular fans of Elvis, but our friends were fans of Elvis. So we had this Elvis singing "Love Me Tender, Love Me Do" in a coffin, within cobwebs.
Oh,
And
wait
he
a minute,
came
wait a
out.
minute, wait a minute. A for real pretend Elvis in a coffin.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
thought she
he
was
was,
just saying dead Elvis because Elvis is dead and you had someone standing. Oh my gosh.
yeah. So he was singing "Love Me Tender, Love Me Do," and he was in this coffin. And my husband was facing me as my husband to be was facing me as I'm walking up the aisle, and I am laughing and laughing. And my friend Paul gave me away. And Brian's looking at me as if to say, you've lost the plot. Have you been drinking, woman? Because I could see Elvis, I could see this coffin rocking. And then he came out, that creaked open, and he's
Oh my
covered
God.
in cobwebs.
Oh,
It was the
Tracy,
funniest
this
thing.
story is priceless. Did you know about this, Rona?
Times because we talked about it, like with the cars and the the Route 66, and we talked about all that, but not the wedding. That is so classic Vegas. I love it.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh.
And and everybody was up dancing partway through the ceremony. It was just the best. It was brilliant fun. So what was your question?
Who cares after that? That is hilarious. Tracy, it does not even shock me that that is how you got married. That is what I absolutely love about you. You are just a bundle of joy. My question was,
Market.
yeah, was
Yeah.
this past year at Houston Quilt Market, was that the first time you had attended a quilt market in the USA of that caliber?
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, about I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, we came over, which was the last time that we'd been to the States. And we came over for my husband's 50th. And I hired an RV and went around Lake Michigan. So we flew into Chicago, and that was really the first time that I've been to quilting shops. And I remember we went down this, I'd done my research before I got there, and we'd found this quilting shop that was down a dirt track, a literal tiny dirt track, and in the middle of nowhere on a farm. And my husband's, are you sure this is the right place? I'm like, just keep going, keep going. I've got to find this fabric. And I
Spoke like
remember
a true
walking in,
quilter.
and this poor woman in there, she looked at me horrified because my hair was up and I've got lots of tattoos. And she said, can I help you? Are you in the right place? Like, yeah, I'm in the right place. And then when I started talking about fabrics and stuff, she was all right. But I think she just thought I was from a gang or something.
I just love it. It's like, keep going. I know it looks like we're driving into no man's land, but I got to get to the fabric. Like, that is so classic quilter. So this is one thing we have learned today. There is no difference when it comes to a USA or a UK quilter. It's all about getting to the fabric.
Yeah.
Nothing
stand
will
in our
prevent
way.
us. Yeah. So Tracy, attending the Houston Quilt Market last year, what was that experience like? How did that change your perception, or if it did change your perception, and did it actually propel your business in a different direction, or talk about that?
Yeah, so my main objective was to get a better understanding of the quilt industry in the States. And I was lucky enough to give some demos with a distributor. And then it was those networking opportunities. I mean, I went on my own. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody actually. And I just thought, well, I went 2 days too early, so I wouldn't do that again. I'd just fly straight in, that morning or the day before. And I stayed a day too late. I could have just flown out on the Monday. But I met some just amazing people, and I just thought I'm just going to go and network. I'll talk to everybody that I possibly can. And I met Deb Grogan, is it?
Yes.
And she introduced me to some people. She was really lovely. And there was a lady called Brenda that she actually opened the ceremony of, did the opening speech. And I ended up chatting to her, and I'm still in touch with her via email, and Dina. And there's so many people that have pointed me in different directions, and go and speak to them, make contact with them.
Yeah.
They say that networking is invaluable. And actually you can't do this over email. You can't do it all over Zoom. You've got to be there. You don't know who you're going to be stood next to in a queue, or
Yes. It's invaluable, honestly. It really is. And I came at it with two different eyes, one as a quilt shop owner, and then two as the end user quilter, right? Because as the end user quilter, it's so fun to see. I don't want to say everything in one place because not everybody is represented there, but there's a vast majority of the quilting industry that is represented there. And you can just go booth after booth and you're exposed to things that it would take you forever to potentially find online because you wouldn't know the right words to Google, right? To find something because you don't know what you don't know. So
Mhm.
as that side of me, it was just like, oh my gosh, overwhelming, fabulous. And then, like you were saying, you were in whose booth were you in doing a demo? Was it Brewer?
Yeah, so it was Brewer that I was doing the demo with.
Which is fabulous. So for me, I mean, I already knew you because of Rona, but to be able to walk up and meet you and have you talk about your patterns and being exposed, because you had tons of quilts hanging there. Those are great things, like great things
Mhm.
as a shop owner to be able to say, okay, nice to meet you. Tell me why I want your patterns in my shop. And then for you to explain how you intended your patterns to come across, which what we talked about earlier, that stuff's invaluable.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And just little things. So I was talking to, oh, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I got my bumblebee pattern in my hand. And it was, I think it was a lady at Checker. She was demoing the stripology. Wasn't Goodrum. It was one of the demonstrators for Checker. And um, this other lady came up to me. She said, "Are you Tracy from Rope and Anchor?" I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, I recognise your pattern." And she said, "I bought your pattern online." She said, "I'm going to make it in my fabric range." This is Pammy Jane from Dear Stella.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Um, so she said, "Come over to my booth." So she got a beautiful booth, and I ended up chatting to her. And actually, I've made a little sort of wall hanging table runner that in her fabrics. So I've not shown it to her yet. See if she likes it. So I made that a couple of evenings ago. I think I'm going to make it into a pattern. Um, but just little things like that and running into people. And also stand out as well. So I look a little bit different with my hair, and people were like starting to talk to me because of that. Oh, and there's another lady, Stephanie Theodore. I think it's Stephanie Theodore. She's got a massive YouTube channel, and she recognized my voice. We were in the what's the
Really?
thing? Yeah. So she said, "Are you Tracy?" I was like, "This is just madness. Come all this way. Nobody knows me at home." Um, and we
Because
started
you're stuck on
chatting.
the
So
boat designing.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, even running into you, I knew what you looked like because I'd been starting to follow you after I met Rona, and that when I met you and Nancy. And then the next morning, I was sat having breakfast on my own, and you were like, "Are you on your own?" I was like, "Yeah, come and join us." And then the next few breakfasts, we all had food together. It was just lovely. And then you're helping me a lot with my business as well. So those meetings, if I'd not written randomly to Rona
Correct.
and she'd come over, and then it goes on, doesn't it? But yeah,
Yeah. Which
I
is
had
exactly why I named my show Stitching the Globe, because it's those little connections that you never know where they're going to lead, and we're all
yeah.
connected somehow. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Tracy, your story mimics what I have taught for years to uh people that have hired me to do business consulting with them or have taught my agents. It's have a conversation. Put yourself out there because you never know where it's going to go. And that email that you or message, direct message, however you did it to Rona, that is a prime example of 1 second action can really change your life. And luckily, the person you were sending it to, Rona, has that same mentality of one connection could change her journey that she was on over there. And seeing the behind the scenes, because I know both of you well, It's just amazing to see how many doors that's opened for Rona and what doors it's opened for you. And to be honest, with us, because I had not heard of you before Rona. And guys, if you're loving what Tracy is saying about her patterns, you can go to SewEndipitous.com. Steve has created a whole Tracy Perks section. You can get her patterns from our website, or you can get them in our shop. But there is lots of US shops now grabbing onto your patterns, right, Tracy? Because you're with a couple of US distributors now, correct?
Yeah, I am. And again, from some of those connections at Quilt Market.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's starting, it's working. And as my husband keeps saying, I've got faith in you, it's gonna happen. And
Oh,
you know, it's not an overnight success, is it? You've got to keep
Yeah.
going and grafting at it.
you
Yeah.
have to keep going and going. And the time is going and going on us. I cannot believe we
I,
are honing in on our hour. Not that it shocks me, but some little birdie said, Tracy, I didn't know we were going to get the great Elvis story, but this was a little bit of birdie insight. Drums. Someone told me you know how to play drums.
Yeah. So oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I wasn't very old. And I auditioned for the choir at school, and they were like, "You're definitely not coming in here. Why don't you go and learn how to play the drums?" Um, and so I went to the music room and said, "Can I play the drums?" "No, you're a girl. You can't play the drums." "No, I want lessons." And I just carried on and carried on. And anyway, I got lessons. My mum and dad rented me a drum kit because you could rent them at that time. And my dad said if I could play, I can't remember who it was now, some Dire Straits song, um, from start to finish, then mum and dad would buy me a drum kit. So of course I was practicing and practicing, and we set everything up in the lounge, and he got. I remember he put the record on because it was a record then in those days, and headphones, and I played this whole track start to finish. And I was like, right, you've got to buy me a drum kit now. I must have only been about 13 at the
I love
time.
it. What
But
motivation? That was smart on their behalf.
yeah.
yeah, well, I wanted to go to music college, but for various reasons that didn't work out. And I just thought I wasn't good enough. And now I think I should have perhaps persevered. I went into HR instead. I could have been a famous drummer, but I'm going to go and hire and fire people instead because that's really exciting.
I was waiting to
Um,
see if you were going to bring HR up because you brought up your hair and your look, and nothing about HR and Tracy Perks.
Go to get, yeah.
no, they don't. But the last company that I worked for were brilliant. It's a waste company, and they were absolutely fantastic. That as long as you're good at your job, yeah, and it was a good place to work for. So, but yeah, I'm not your conventional looking um HR person, I suppose, but I've got lots of friends still in HR, and it has been a good sort of vocation to me. But it was time for a change, definitely.
I'm so happy you're in the quilt world. You make it so much more fun. Uh, Absolutely. So remind everybody real quick, Tracy, before we go, what you've got going on, how they can find and track you and be a part of your world.
Okay, so at the minute, I've got Tulips Bloom quilt series that's out. So that's 8 episodes coming out twice a week over the next few weeks. There's 3 brand new quilts, but I've just focused on making that one quilt from start to finish. So if you're a beginner quilter, then this might be for you. And I talk about nesting seams and pressing and quarter of an inch seam allowance and all that stuff that beginners might not know about. My website, there's always something going on for my website. Sign up to my newsletter at www.rokentradingco.com. Instagram's pretty busy. Always posting stuff on Pinterest. I'm just out there. I'm out there.
She is out there, and I absolutely love it. we'll make sure to post some links down in the comments to the video that Rona, or the interview that Rona did while she was over the pond. So you guys can see that in case you missed it. And then also we'll make sure you have Tracy's website and social media stuff. But like I said, you guys know I'm Lisa with SewEndipitous here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. www.sewendipitous.com. Tracy was joking about how to say it or spell it. Anyway, that is, for those of you that don't know, SEW. See, look, I got to pause. ENDIPITOUS.com, and you can get to all of Tracy's patterns there. Tracy, if there's quilt shop owners that want to look at purchasing some of your patterns for the shop, do you have a place on your website, or do they email you? How do they get to you to carry your patterns?
Best thing is to email me. So there's a place on my website. Just go on there, send me an email, and I'll get back to you, and I can direct you in the right place to get the patterns from, wherever you are.
Perfect. Okay, so it's SewEndipitous. What's going on? Lisa's traveling at the end of the month to go to H&H. Are you going, Rona? No. Okay, so I'll report back for you too. Everything at H&H in Chicago. It will be my first time. I think it will be really fun. For those of you that don't know what H&H Americas is, it is really a great collaboration of fiber arts. A lot of yarn, quilting, I'm so excited. Great time once again to network, like Tracy was saying. I think that will be super, super fun. This weekend, the 19th and 20th, we have our annual Spring Crafters Market in the shop, so that's fun. And then, of course, in the summer, we'll be getting ready for All Carolina Shop Hop. So it just keeps rolling. It keeps rolling. And speaking of rolling, Rona, where's your wheels rolling to next?
Well, first of all, just to mention that H&H is a trade show. It's not actually open to the public.
Right.
But
Sorry.
And just a fun fact about H&H, they started in Germany. That's their originating H&H, and then they brought it to the States for the first time last year. And I was planning on going
this is their third year.
This is their third year. I thought it was just like, okay, either way, it doesn't matter. I was planning on going this year, but they changed the dates. They moved it back like a month or two or whatever. So I wasn't able to go because I'm already contracted elsewhere. Because if you don't know, I planned like 2 years in advance, year and a half. Like right now I'm working on mid to late 2025. So if you would like to hire me to come to your guild, think time frame. Anyway, so let's see. I just got back from Wisconsin, did 3 guilds back to back, which was amazing. Shout out to all the amazing quilters in Wisconsin. And then so I leave tomorrow for driving out to Reno, Nevada, and then from Reno I drive up to Oregon for the Umpqua Valley Quilters Show, where I'll be teaching Stonehenge. This is the first time teaching it. All of the pre-sales have been shipped. They're out on their way. And I've extended the coupon code. So if you'd still like to get a kit or pattern, you can on the website. And then let's see. Oh my gosh, May. Oh, EQ Academy. I will be at the EQ Academy.
That's new.
Yeah, from our last, was it last month we did EQ?
2 months. We had part 1 and part 2.
Right. Yeah, so I'll be at the EQ Academy, and I'm going to be filming that too. So look for that on as a extra on the YouTube channel. And then we have added a third retreat. It's at the end of August, the last week of August, and it's up here in Indiana at the Angola Quilt Shop. And again, we'll be making Stonehenge. And it's going to be tons of fun. It is the cutest retreat center that is above the quilt shop. So you have the quilt shop and the retreat center, and Shipshewana is only like 45 minutes away, which is even better. So, so all that stuff's on the website. And
I think they should just do it so they get the Stonehenge kit, because let me tell you, the packaging.
Yeah, it's
yummy. It's yummy.
I can show you the box.
Okay, while she's showing the box, we do have a question from the audience. So I'm being questioned why there's no quilt behind me or anything fabulous, but this weirdness going on. So I am in the middle of redoing my sew room here at my home, and I was paint sampling. So that's what you are seeing, guys. So hopefully, gosh, hopefully by next month, put the pressure on. I will have selected paint. As you can see over here, this is a deep purple, like a deep wine color accent wall. And then it is light pink behind me, with a little purple hue in the pink, actually. So I'm thinking I'm going this light pink here. I really want to go that aqua. My camera's not great. You can't really see it good, but that's why I look weird. Go ahead, Rona.
Oh, well, so yeah, so the boxes, I had special boxes made for the kits. So this is the box that it comes in, and
Love
the
it.
full kit. And if you've got some of the quilt blocks on the side, the big Stonehenge, but I'm not going to show you the inside
Yeah,
because
no.
the inside was also specially made, and there's a fun little extra in there. Yeah, so it's kind of an experience when you open the box.
It's like a Cracker Jacks. There's a surprise.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, Rona, what's your website again for them to get to you?
RonaTheRibbiter.com.
There you go, the traveling quilter. Tracy, it has been so fun having you. Thank you for rearranging your schedule to meet ours. We know the time difference is a bit much, but we definitely appreciate it.
Thanks so much. I've just had such a good time. I'm going to go to bed now, so have a nap.
Guys, thank you for watching. We're here always the third Tuesday of every month. Next month is May. Don't know yet. Do we, Rona? What's next month? Yeah, we'll tell you. You know how we roll around here. Steve will get the marketing out, and it will be something fun, and we will babble on. But guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. Any last words, anybody? All's good. Thanks, guys. Have a good one, and we appreciate you being here.